Welcome back to my channel, you guys. This week the video is a little bit different. I know that most of you follow me for my weekly lessons in Portuguese, but I know that lots of you also follow me because you are on the brink of starting a new life in Portugal. Maybe you're still just considering it at this stage, and maybe you have questions for me about what it's like to make the move and how I've made it work. So this week I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that and talk about why I left London for Lisbon and how it has really changed my life. I hope that you guys can relate to this. Maybe it's not the UK that you're moving from, but maybe it's the US, Canada, elsewhere in Europe. Wherever you're considering moving from, I hope that hearing my story gives you a little bit of a confidence boost and that nudge to just go for it. I do upload new videos every week on Portuguese language and Portuguese culture, so if that sounds like content you'd be interested in, make sure that you subscribe. And if you want to learn Portuguese, I have tons of free resources linked in the description below, so make sure that you check those out as well. I'm at my local co-work 10 co-work today and I've got a cup of tea, so go grab one yourself and I hope you enjoy this video. So the first reason for leaving London was pretty obvious, I suppose. It was so expensive. It's probably important to kick off by saying I absolutely love my home country and my home city. It was such a privilege to grow up in a space that was so diverse, so much history, entertainment, opportunity. I don't think I'll ever stop loving London. But there came a time, basically when I hit 30, that I looked at my finances and thought, you are never going to save any money. Like, ever. I think it was 2016 at the time. I think I was paying about £850 in rent alone. So yeah, the situation became unsustainable and I had to make a change. When you threw into the mix my personal circumstances, which were that all my friends were moving to the suburbs, getting married, having kids, and I was not. I just felt like I needed an opt-out of the vicious cycle I'd found myself in of stressing about not having enough money and not being where I should be in my life. So I just decided to not just change city, but change country and have a completely fresh start and just start a new adventure. Portugal was of course top of my list because I had studied here before and I'd fallen in love with the country many years beforehand. You can check out this video for more info on that if you haven't already. So I guess my story was a little bit different because I did know Portugal well and I knew that it was going to be good for me, and it had embraced me in difficult times before, and I just had this feeling that it was going to do it again, and I was right. So it just so happens that Lisbon is one of the more affordable European cities, but probably not in the way that you might think, so hear me out for a minute here. When it comes to property, that has risen drastically, especially cities like Lisbon and Porto. They are suffering from the same gentrification problem that other cities are, and that really sucks, especially for local Portuguese people. So I'm not going to say that rent is cheap, because it's not. However, if you are looking to escape the city, find a quieter place in the countryside, maybe central Portugal, maybe other places off the beaten track a little bit, then you will definitely get more for your money if you are buying property than you would in the UK or the US. That is just a no-brainer. Maybe you've already found your dream property in the Portuguese countryside. Let me know in the comments if you have. The reason that I say that Lisbon is more affordable is because all the best things in life are cheap here. So I'm talking about things like a nice glass of wine, a cold beer on a hot day, a trip to the seaside. These things are cheap to enjoy here, and probably the reason why so many people have fallen in love with it, and one of my favourite reasons for living here as well. Unlike in London, where I spent hours commuting, worrying about what I was wearing, not being able to afford a taxi home or even the cocktail that I wanted on a night out. I don't even think about those things anymore. Lisbon has only 4 metro lines. You can walk most places. It's not a consumerist or materialistic culture. The best things to do here are enjoying a long lunch with friends or neighbours or a €2. Those are the things that just make it such a joy to live here. And the things that are important in life, right? The simple things. It's a really big reason as to why I'm so happy here. So was Brexit a factor? Lots of people ask me this, and I think for me, and a lot of other Brits I know, Brexit came as a massive gut punch. So now when people ask me where I'm from, I do say London and not the UK, because I was just so devastated that England could choose to do something like that. From the minute I took my first school trip to Spain when I was 16, I was obsessed with the idea of travelling. I always saw living and working in Europe in my future, and I'd always seen myself as European. I'm also somebody who has always felt a bit confused about my identity because I have mixed heritage. My dad's Indian, and so for somebody who's always grown up being asked where I'm from in my own country, it was actually really freeing to move somewhere else, and so that now when people ask me where I'm from, I have a bit more of an interesting story to tell. And it's also meant that I could distance myself from a government that in no way reflects my values. So although the wheels were already in motion when Brexit came into play, I think I probably would have left the UK if I wasn't already planning on it. Most of my school friends have done the same thing. It's sad, but I'm glad I did it early because now I'm actually only a year away from getting citizenship here. So if you want videos about that journey, because I'm sure it's going to be a barrel of laughs, you can comment down below. I guess the final reason why I decided to settle in Lisbon was completely personal to me. I joked in this video that when I lived in London I was single for 10 years, but after moving to Lisbon I met my future husband in just 4 days. So he's American, and building a life in a country where neither of us have a history is actually really special. Means we get to start completely from scratch, and I think it will be a really nice place to bring up a family and teach them about those simple things in life. Of course, ever since I set up this channel, I have more and more reasons to stay every day. There's now over 25,000 of you subscribed to this channel, which is absolutely amazing. And I really am so passionate about helping people make this transition and move to Portugal, but also to really integrate into their new home and their new culture by learning the language. It really is such an important thing to do, not only to show respect for your new home and the people that live in it, but also to make your life easier while you're here, and just to give you that extra degree of confidence and that feeling of feeling at home. So if you want to get started on that, which I do recommend before you arrive, you will have a million other things to do once you get there, not the least all of that fun paperwork. I do have a free 60-minute lesson for beginners, which is linked in the description. It's perfect if you're just taking your first steps in Portuguese, so go check it out. So for everybody who is still on the fence about moving, I hope that this video and hearing my story has given you a little nudge in the right direction. If you have more questions about moving to Portugal, let me know in the comment section and I'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. All that's left to say is boa sorte, boa viagem e até a próxima. Beijinhos, pessoal!